Good morning. Today on Spotlight, the countdown to a worldwide technology event that has never before been held in North America. But in August, Campus Party Tech Fest 2020 will converge on Detroit's TCF Center with gusto. What will it mean for America and Michigan's largest city? We'll ask Matt Gibb, creator of content for the global high-tech event, and Larry Alexander, president and CEO of the Detroit Metro Convention and Visitors Bureau. Larry will also give us an update on that industry. It's Sunday, February the 9th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight from theCUBE. Matt, good having you on Spotlight.
It's great to be here, Chuck.
You got a new title here. You know, spent all that time out in Oakland County, sort of economic czar for a lot of years up under L. Brooks Patterson. But now you're dipping into the world of geekdom, I guess you could call it.
In geekdom, I guess that, maybe I was a geek at heart. And, it was a great blessing of mine to work for Brooks Patterson for so long and to meet so many great people in our region. And now that has given this cool opportunity for us to bring a Geek Fest to Detroit.
If Brooks were still around, what would he say about this?
Well, one, he'd be very excited that we're bringing something down to TCF Center, where he and his team worked for so many years with the great leadership in Detroit and Wayne and Macomb to build that beautiful facility. So one, he'd be pleased about that TCF Center is going to be bursting at the seams with geeks later this year. And he'd be pleased that the strength of how much technology and how many companies that really have come to the region, and in large part because of all of our effort, but out in Oakland County we did a pretty good job of bringing the world's technology here in the last 20 years, and now we get to showcase that and have fun with it.
Well, of course, his favorite line was always Oakland County is the engine that drives Michigan's economy. Campus Party, for the person who's never heard of it, in a nutshell, what is it?
Well, when I got approached by my good friend Larry Alexander at the CVB, and he said, "Have you heard of Campus?"
We'll be talking to him in just a little bit.
He said, "Have you heard of Campus Party?" And I had a flashback to my campus days, and I'm like, well,
you said, "Please don't bring that up," right?
I've been to a few, but if you took the very best speeches that you could imagine, whether they're TED Talk or other speeches that you've heard around the world that are these just really dynamic people, and some as big as Steve Wozniak or as locally here as others that are just the best speeches you might hear around technology and where it's going and futurism. And while that's going on all inside the giant arena, you have a huge hackathon happening. And a hackathon isn't hacking into your car. A hackathon is where young people and old people, in this case young people, will be solving problems and spending 72 hours together in big teams. And so you have this huge hackathon happening with their computers. And at the same time all of that's happening, then drones might be buzzing overhead, or robots might be sliding by and delivering a pizza. People might have augmented reality goggles on. All of that happening at the same time. And then
this is 3 days.
3 days.
In August.
In August.
I think 20th through the 22nd?
2021, 22. It starts at around noon on Thursday the 20th and will not end for 72 straight hours.
And it just goes nonstop.
It goes. 1 in the morning we might have battle bots all fighting each other. We don't know yet. Yeah.
This is a big deal because it's the first time in North America, and Detroit happens to be the place in North America it's going to be for the first time, even though it's been throughout the world.
It is so great that they chose Detroit. So Campus Party has actually been around the world for about 12 years. In South America and Europe and Asia, they draw upwards of 30,000 attendees. We call them campuseros. So the campuseros come. Detroit's going to start, they've signed a 3-year commitment to Detroit. So they had looked at maybe we should go to Houston, or maybe we should take this unbelievable event up into Toronto or to the West Coast. And they looked at Detroit and said, that hub of technology and the vibrancy of what's happened to Detroit and its region is where we want to be. And so we're so pleased that they said, Detroit can support this. And so Campus Party, this huge international brand, has chosen Detroit, and we're going to make it just as big.
Obviously, as you said, our automotive background played into this, but it's beyond this being an automotive capital and all of the engineers here, right?
Well, we have more engineers here per capita than anywhere else in the country, but in 2009, 10, and 11, that horrible time we went through, we had about 135,000 engineers going into that, and after that we only had about 85,000 engineers. That talent has regrown, but you know, our marketplace is more than just engineering talent. I mean, this is where Game of Thrones creates all of its computer graphics for Game of Thrones. This is where EA Sports and gaming is big. The Renegades, who's one of our partners in Campus Party Esports, is becoming huge. Our ability to really showcase the strength we have in artificial intelligence, all the things that are making the future automobile are not necessarily putting wheels on a car, they're putting mobility on a smartphone, and all of that technology is here. And so Campus Party gives us an opportunity to take those 3,000 or 4,000 technology companies all doing business in our region and say, you know, let's show the rest of the U.S. that this is where technology lives.
Yeah, and I want to pick up on that. Are these individuals and people that are going to be members of this or attendees to this who probably have never set foot in Detroit before or may not have had that much exposure, so it's another opportunity for us to be able to showcase ourselves to the world?
Yeah, I mean, twofold. You know, one is there's going to be a lot of people from here that want to go and see what's going on. It's kind of like our auto show, right? A lot of people come, right?
Right.
Campus Party has more than 700,000 followers worldwide. We're already getting inquiries from people around the globe of when and where and when will the room blocks be open. So we know it's going to draw a lot of people globally. Our market reach is really that 4 to 6 hour range. And so we know people from Toronto will come in and people from Columbus and Cincinnati will come up and people from Chicago will come over. And so that big ring. And we anticipate that, you know, a big portion of the audience. And it's really interesting to note, Chuck, that the audience for Campus Party is a wide range. It's focused on 18 to 30-year-olds,
okay,
but it's really for anyone. And about 70% are in that bracket. But what's really interesting is almost 40% are female.
All right, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, I want you to drill down, since your title is a creator of content, to talk about what you're doing to pull all this content together. We'll be right back with Matt Gibb. Don't go away. We have a lot of universities in this region. I assume that you're going to be tying them into that content in some way, shape, or fashion?
Yeah, of course. You know, we graduate more advanced technology grads than anywhere else in the country is right here in Michigan, and we have 16 elite universities that all participate in that. Our good partner, Robert McGee from the Engineering Society of Detroit, is a great partner to Campus Party and was part of the team that brought it here. And so Robert is working with those engineering schools and the universities in general. All of them are very excited. They're asking for ticket blocks. They're going to be sending teams to the hackathon. And so that talent from the educational community is not only going to be participating, but they're helping us build it. We're using them as advisory councils to say, what do you want to see? You know, if you're a young graduate from Michigan Tech, why would you come to Campus Party? And so that community's been invaluable, and you're going to see a huge representation of them at Campus Party.
Does it change from year to year, from place to place, or is it essentially the same nuts and bolts, but you just tweak it?
We will make a Detroit Campus Party a Detroit Campus Party. It won't be an imitation of a different one. And so, you know, we're looking at being able to showcase advanced quantum computing and robotics and drone technologies and all of these different aspects of where the future world is going. You know, Domino's has their autonomous shuttle program that they're starting. Well, I want pizzas to be delivered autonomously right at Campus Party from a place like Domino's. And so we're looking at a creative way of highlighting, you know, what is the technology, but more importantly, how can you touch it? How can you be involved with it? What's your future look like around this technology?
You were telling me before we began recording here that this ties very much into the healthcare business, that we are the leaders, I guess, in making automated things for healthcare?
Well, you know, people don't realize that the strength of our health industry here. They think we've got great hospitals and great systems, but we've got great innovation centers at Henry Ford and Beaumont and Ascension and others. And there's more clinical trials done on advanced new medical devices and new medical opportunities, more clinical trials done here in the Detroit market than anywhere else in the United States.
And cities are building themselves around healthcare because people are living longer and people are accessing healthcare a lot more than they did in the past.
So at Campus Party, we hope to be focusing on 4D modeling of I call them interior parts, right? And so when you and I are going to go for that surgery, here in our market, they're creating 4D simulated models of what your actual organs are looking like for surgery. We're simulating different spinal rehabilitation products. We've got some of the best rehabilitation services in the whole country because of our great automotive no-fault system. We're going to showcase that. People transforming themselves out of the wheelchair. And so Campus Party is not just about autos. It's about cool medical technologies and financial technologies and augmented reality training technologies. All of that will come together and everybody gets to put their hands on it and have fun with it and compete with it. For instance, at Denso, and Denso is one of our partners that's joined on board. Denso is a great automotive company, but they are looking at, they've got some really great talent that are working in cybersecurity and electrification. And so can they showcase how cool they are? Meaning for another 26-year-old that might want to work there, they don't know how cool they are, right? So companies have an opportunity to come showcase who they are, not just what they do, around the technology that's being developed and the great young people and talent that's within their midst. So our first year, we're shooting for 5,000 attendees. Year 2, maybe 20,000. Year 3, maybe 30,000. What would you do with 5,000 geeks?
I know you've had people whisper in your ear about maybe running for Oakland County Executive. You can't do both, can you?
No,
and are you paying
no.
any attention to when people say, you know what, we need a good Republican to jump into this race to make it interesting?
Yeah, you know, we need good leaders, Chuck, and we've got great leaders throughout the region, and some are Republicans and some are Democrats, and they're all doing a great job. You know, the leadership of this region allows us to build Campus Party, and so, you know, my focus is my family, of course, but then having this cool opportunity. I mean, you think about it, I get to coordinate. You know, some of our speakers, we've signed Damon John from Shark Tank is coming, and Rodney Mullen, the godfather of street skateboarding, is coming, and Diana Cowan, who's the physics gal from YouTube. I mean, I get to work with these cool people to come to Detroit, brag about Detroit, and at the same time, you know, I get to put flying drones in the air and have a hackathon solve some really great problem for our region. That's fun enough for me right now.
All right. We aren't going to see Matt Gibbs' name on a ballot running for Oakland County Executive at any point.
Not anytime soon.
Not anytime soon. Maybe down the line.
Down the line, maybe.
All right. Matt Gibb, thanks so much for coming in, bringing us up to date on this. This does indeed sound exciting. We're going to go downtown to our downtown studio, talk to Larry Alexander, the leader of the Metropolitan Detroit Convention and Visitors Bureau, more about this and just where we are in terms of marketing this region. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Spotlight. We've now changed locations, obviously. We're downtown at the Cube, as we affectionately call it. And joining me is Larry Alexander. He is president and CEO of the Detroit Metro Convention and Visitors Bureau. Welcome to Spotlight.
Thank you.
You've been here, I don't even want to count the number of times.
It's always a pleasure to be with you,
You're
Chuck.
a great staple for Detroit. Piggybacking off of Matt Gibb and our conversation about Campus Party,
yes.
Tech Fest 2020, which will be coming just down the street there to the TCF Center in August. I got the impression from Matt that we're making a concerted effort in this region, a big push to brand ourselves as the high-tech capital of the world.
There's no question about it. And it makes sense for us from a convention standpoint, because when you look at the changes that are being made in our auto industry and how they're reinventing the cars to more technology from just the manufacturing base, they're leading this destination in what's being created from a job standpoint. So this campus party is so critical because, first of all, it's going to put not only a national but an international spotlight here on Detroit. But the technology brain trust that it will bring together right here in our backyard can't be described in words.
Are they still looking for sponsors and the business community to just really step up and support this in every way that we normally see when we bring a major convention to this city?
Yes, that would be important. We do need more sponsors to step up and be a part of this as well. And the reason it's important to them is because they're all looking for talent base. They're all looking for individuals that can bring that brain trust to their organizations and help them develop and grow from a technology standpoint.
Well, we're glad it's coming, and that's a big one for 2020. But you keep the list of everything else that's coming down the pipe, because we can't depend on one convention. We're glad to have it, but we know that there's some coming before and some coming after. As you look at 2020, what should all the people in this region be excited about?
Well, as of now, we've got a little over 200 groups that we've got on the books for the year 2020. Collectively, there are well over $300 million in spending that will be brought to the destination. But there are big groups like the International Alcoholics Anonymous. That's a little over 50,000 people that will be coming to town.
Wow.
Everybody remembers First Robotics. They're coming back again, and they've also
and that was very
21.
successful last year.
Very successful, and that's a little over 40,000 people that will be coming to town. But we've got some other groups that are very prestigious, may not be as large, with the International Women's Forum that will be coming in. International, extremely well-educated, high-profile, powerful women in key positions across the globe.
This will be the very first year in which the auto show will not be in the winter. We've already gotten past that. We didn't have it this year. People didn't have to put their tux on in the middle of January. But summertime is when everything is going to be showcased here. How's that coming?
Extremely well. We just hosted our annual meeting, and we had one of our guest speakers was Rod Alberts, and he went through and talked about all the changes that are taking place and the different things that will be available, and how
it will indoors and outdoors,
and how this will really have an opportunity to showcase more of our downtown core, but also give the auto show opportunity to bring in more exhibitors, to have more outdoor exhibits for people who want to showcase different products.
When we come back, we know that the governor just presented her budget. Want to see what concerns, if any, you have about that as it relates to the Convention and Tourism Bureau. And whatever else we can squeeze in there. All right.
All right.
We'll talk a little bit about the name change for TCF Center and what impact that has.
Wonderful.
We'll be right back with Larry Alexander. And welcome back to Spotlight. The governor just presented her budget the other day. One thing that I'm sure you're concerned with is Pure Michigan, because it got caught up in that legislative debate last year and the budget and the tug of war between the Democrats and the Republicans. What are you hearing, and how concerned are you about this?
Well, we're grateful that the governor has submitted some funds to put back into the Pure Michigan budget. That's important.
Because the funding had run out.
It was completely gone. Now, I would say that we would prefer to have the entire $37.5 million resubmitted, because we've come so far and it's taken so long to build up to that level. Everyone needs to recognize the importance of having that Pure Michigan advertising dollars in place. You know, the various convention and visitors bureaus around the state all have budgets, but nothing that compares to the magnitude of what the state has to offer. And when you think about this from a competitive standpoint, whether we're competing against the state of New York or Denver, Colorado, or Texas, all of these states
and it's really states versus states here. It's not cities versus cities anymore.
That's exactly right. They have huge budgets, and they know that everyone, every single year, is trying to figure out where to go spend their leisure dollars. What Pure Michigan provided for us was a way to compete on a national and an international level, to be able to attract visitors to this destination so that they would want to see the assets that we have, whether they be in Detroit, Traverse City, Ann Arbor, or up north at some of our up north destinations. And that's something that collectively we need to have out there to attract visitation.
Larry, when we talk about economic impact of the state of Michigan, where does tourism rank?
Well, we like to argue between 2 and 3 with agriculture. There's no question manufacturing is number 1. Agriculture likes to say they're number 2
We're
because
big
of their
agricultural
big
state.
agriculture and because of the exports, excuse me. But tourism is definitely number 3, and some people think it's number 2 because of the dollars that it brings in and the number of visitors that it comes in. We've done recent studies that show that the job base for primary jobs just in the Tri-County area is over 200,000 jobs that are directly impacted by tourism. The spending is $6 billion in the Tri-County region, and it brings in about 16 million people in the most recent study. And we're going to be updating that and doing those studies again so we can have some more up-to-date numbers.
To be sure, Pure Michigan has its critics.
Yes.
When you hear the criticism of Pure Michigan, how do you respond to it?
Well, that's when I get on my soapbox because,
That's all right.
because when you think about the magnitude of tourism, not only across the state, across our country, and internationally, a lot of people believe that this industry is already the #1 industry in the world because every single year people are deciding where they want to go for a weekend trip or a vacation trip, or they're going to visit family and friends, but they're spending their dollars in another destination. And these are dollars that we can bring into our state and our city and region that are not dependent on taxing our local residents.
And
It's
you guys
new
do a
dollars.
lot of research, and your research shows you that advertising truly works. People make decisions on where they're going to go, where they're going to take vacations, individually, with their families, based upon what they see on our industry, the big screen television.
It absolutely does, and I can tell you that if you don't advertise, people forget about you. The first day that Travel Michigan had no advertising out there, they saw a 30% drop in their website interest from people across the country. So that's a very telling sign. I've got a case study that shows what Colorado did when they cut their tourism
I heard
funding.
about that. It had a really bad impact,
They
correct?
went in the tank, and
Have
it's
they
taken them
rebounded?
15 years to try to recover, and they still haven't recovered to the level where they were 15 years ago. So it's unfortunate that this has happened, but we can't afford to let this go on. We need Pure Michigan to be funded. We need Pure Michigan to be in place because of the competitiveness of this industry and how important it is to drive more dollars to this state.
The biggest challenge, would it be this whole debate over mass transit and trying to connect this entire region?
We absolutely need that. I mean, it was great that we've got the Q line running up and down Woodward Avenue, but it's critically important that we have a comprehensive mass transit system that connects people not only from the central core of downtown, but out to Troy.
And we
or
aren't
out
there
to-
yet compared to other regions.
We're not there yet at all. And we need to have that because that really will pull our entire region together and give us the opportunity to showcase everything that this region has to offer.
All right, and of course, the sticky detail is always the cost. That's a whole nother show. We'll get you back for that one. Larry Alexander, thanks so much for coming in, bringing
Pleasure,
us up
Chuck.
to date. Best of luck in 2020 with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, as
Thank
well
you.
as the Campus Party Tech Fest coming
Thank you
up.
very much,
All right.
Chuck.
And I'm Chuck Stokes. We'll be back next week with more newsmakers in the spotlight. We hope you have a great week.